Arshdeep Singh, you'll see him everywhere. You'll see him in a reel, you'll see him across BCCI's social media, and hopefully in time, you'll see him across all three formats playing for India. Here's a man whose on-field presence is as impactful and as special as his social media presence. At just the age of 26, Arshdeep Singh is already India's leading wicket taker in T20I cricket. And he's done this in just 68 games and 3 years, leapfrogging some of the biggest names like Jasprit Bumrah, Yuzvendra Chahal, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, and so many more. He's also one of just 3 Indian bowlers to have started off their international T20I career with a maiden over. But along with this, in just 3 years, he's already India's 6th most successful left-arm pacer, at least in terms of wickets, and very soon he will become 4th on that list as well. But what is it about Arshdeep Singh that in such a short period of time he's turned his career around and has become one of the most reliable fast bowlers for India, at least in the T20 format? Before we get into the nitty-gritties of Arshdeep Singh's career, definitely hit that subscribe button. We also have a Discord channel now, so the link will be in the description and you can join our Discord. Along with this, here's a trailer from our recent membership video.
So in the first test match, it took 10 overs and 2 wickets to score their first ever runs as a batting unit.
But he learned this googly and he brought it back to South Africa, taught it to all of his fellow leg spinners and his teammates in the squad, and they used it against the touring England side and absolutely destroyed them. Was from an area in the place in the stadium known as the Cage, who claimed, and I quote, that black people were intellectually inferior and lacked feel for cricket. Bradman's response to this, and I think this is beautiful: have you ever heard of Gary Sobers? That's all he said.
So this was a very crude way to go about showing the world that everything is normal, because
where it was clear that it was not normal and none of this was right. And so now for starters, who is Arshdeep Singh? What exactly is it that he's doing and why is he already standing out in international cricket? Arshdeep Singh is a rare breed of fast bowler. He's one of the few left-arm pacers to emerge from India in the recent past, and he's been making waves in the T20 format. Here's a man who can swing the new ball up front, has a brilliant yorker, and also has a really good bouncer that he utilizes extremely well in the death overs. Arshdeep is also a bowler who in his short spells can constantly clock that 140 km/h mark, and this is what makes him stand out from a lot of the domestic bowlers. In just the 3 years of international T20 cricket that he's played, he's already the highest wicket taker in Indian history. In the 68 games that he's played, he's picked up 105 wickets, and he's done this at an economy rate of 8.3. And when it comes to the ODIs, he's still very nascent in his career, where in the 11 games he's picked up 17 wickets and done this at an economy of 5.2. And like many others, Arshdeep Singh first shot to prominence in the under-19 setup. There too, he was a part of the 2018 under-19 team that had a lot of really good fast bowlers, the likes of Kamlesh Nagarkoti, Shivam Mavi, and even Ishan Porel. And because of this, it was natural that Arshdeep Singh was only going to get limited games given the fact that he was a swing bowler and the other bowlers had swing as well as pace. And in fact, he ended up playing just 2 games in that World Cup. However, even in these 2 games, he made a really good impact, because in the 10 overs that he bowled, he picked up 3 wickets at an economy rate of just 2. And of course, on the back of this performance, he was definitely noticed in the spotlight and eventually in the very same year got picked for the Punjab Kings and also made his list A debut for Punjab. His first 2 seasons in the IPL were definitely nothing to write home about, but you could see that there was potential there. While in his first season of the IPL in 2019, he got just the 3 games that went up in the second season in IPL of 2020, where he played a total of 8 matches. Overall, he picked up 12 wickets in these 11 matches at an economy rate of 9.3. Despite this fairly normal showing, the Punjab Kings still wanted to persist with Arshdeep Singh and got him back in the squad in the IPL of 2021. And this wasn't without reason, right? Arshdeep was also doing well in domestic cricket, and this was evident in that year's Syed Mushtaq Ali tournament, where in the 2021 January season, he picked up 10 wickets in 7 games at an economy of 6.6. And immediately you could see that Punjab Kings' faith in him had paid off, because in the IPL of 2021, he was the second highest wicket taker for the side. He picked up 18 wickets in just 12 games, and he also did this at a really good economy rate of just 8.2. And this was big because Arshdeep had proved to be a revelation at the top of the order. When it came to opening the bowling with the new ball and bowling those tough overs in the power play, Arshdeep was shining. Across the IPL, he was the second highest wicket taker in that power play period, where he picked up 8 wickets, and he also bowled extremely miserly spells. Going Going at just 7.3 runs per over and bowling 19 overs in the power play, Arshdeep had shown how valuable he could be when used rightly in the power play. And in the IPL of 2022, although he played 14 matches and got just the 10 wickets, what he improved on was his economy rate, because overall he was going at an economy rate of just 7.7. And there's also a reason for why this changed. It had a lot to do with the position at which Arshdeep Singh was coming to bowl. Unlike the previous season where he was given a lot of responsibility to bowl with that new ball and in the power play, in this season in IPL of 2022, he only opened the bowling 5 times. And in fact, this time PBKs wanted to see how Arshdeep does not only in the middle overs and as a first change bowler, but especially at the death. In fact, while he only opened the bowling 5 times, he came in as first or second change bowler 7 times in that IPL. And here is where we were seeing another aspect of Arshdeep, because up until now he was seen as the swing bowler who could do well with the new ball but was slightly less effective once the game went on. But this time around, with Punjab Kings entrusting him with the middle overs and especially the death, we saw that he had a lot more in his artillery, because this is where he unleashed Yorkers, and not just Yorkers at the stump but especially his weapon, the wide Yorker. Along with this, he also had some good variations in terms of pace change with his cutters and also had a really good bouncer. Across 17 overs that he bowled in the dead during that season, he was the second most economical bowler in that year's IPL. He went at 7.59 runs to the over, second only to Jasprit Bumrah. And on the back of everything that has happened up until now, you could see that Arshdeep had the potential to take it a notch up and make his international debut. And that's exactly also what happened. The added facet of Arshdeep being able to also bowl the death overs meant that he was more than a complete bowler and could come into that Indian lineup and take up multiple responsibilities. This was also the time when Jasprit Bumrah was going through a lot of injuries, and so India had to find some backup pacers. And so with Jasprit Bumrah being available for that first T20 against England in 2022, Arshdeep Singh was handed his debut. And my oh my, what a debut it was. It was a dream start for him as he started off his T20I career with a maiden over. He was only one of 3 players to ever do this for India. And he eventually went on to cap off that game with a brilliant spell of 2 for 18 in his 3.3 overs. Following this was a tour of West Indies where Arshdeep continued to put in the good work, where in 5 matches he picked up 7 wickets at a very impressive economy rate of just 6.5. And because of these 2 series, it was enough for India to pick Arshdeep Singh into that Asia Cup squad. Once again, one of the reasons why Arshdeep made it into the squad was also because of the fact that Jasprit Bumrah was out due to injury. But unlike his previous 2 tours, Arshdeep Singh found it slightly difficult to get going in the Asia Cup. He had a bit of a hot and cold Asia Cup where in the 5 matches he did pick up 5 wickets, but he was expensive on a couple of occasions. But a highlight for Arshdeep's career in this tournament was the amount of trolling that he received. In the game in the Super 4s versus Pakistan, he dropped a sitter of a catch and he was subject to a lot of abuse online. And of course, while he hadn't put in the greatest performance, he still continued to get chances for India in the T20I format. The fact that he was a left-arm seamer, could swing the ball both ways and could also bowl at the death meant that he was definitely an option that India would constantly want to pick in their sides. Especially with Bumrah being out injured, Arshdeep was often finding himself as a replacement for Jasprit Bumrah. And this is where we cut to the T20 World Cup of 2022. Yet again, Arshdeep Singh finds himself as a replacement for Bumrah, and yet again he finds himself facing Pakistan in the very first match of the World Cup. It is here that Arshdeep Singh shot into the mainstream spotlight. Because of the kind of spell he bowled with the new ball, he definitely caught a lot of eyes. To get the wickets of Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan, the 2 pillars of Pakistan at the time in the T20 squad, was one of the biggest things that Arshdeep had done in his short T20 career up until then. He swung the ball, he also had a good bouncer that he bowled and set up Mohammad Rizwan brilliantly. The added pressure that this game was taking place at the MCG in front of a 90,000 strong crowd meant that Arshdeep definitely delivered under pressure. In the 2 overs that he bowled in that power play, he ended with figures of 10 runs for 2 wickets. And although India went on to have a fairly dismal campaign in 2022, Arshdeep definitely stood out, because he was India's highest wicket taker in that tournament, getting 10 wickets in the 6 games, but also at a very impressive economy rate of just 7.8. And after that 2022 performance, it would be extremely tough, even with Bumrah returning, to keep Arshdeep Singh out of the squad, because he was showing that he was more than just a player with a lot of skills. He also showed that he had the temperament to be here at the highest level. And of course, owing to the performances that he put in throughout the 2022 season, he was also eventually handed that ODI debut once again because of the absence of a lot of our pacers. And realistically, this is the first point where we see Arshdeep struggle in his international career, because across the 2 ODIs that he plays versus New Zealand, in the first one he's expensive, in the second one he's done a decent job going at just 4.2 runs to the over, but he ends up getting no wickets. hits. And this is where a lot of people start to think that maybe Arshdeep is just a T20 bowler, or maybe he's only effective in short spells. And I bring up this small 2 ODI window because in a year's time, Arshdeep will have transformed his game. While Arshdeep is still a work in progress in the longer formats, T20 cricket has become the bread and butter of this man. This is also evident in the IPLs of 2023 and 2024, where across 28 matches he picks up 36 wickets. Although he is a little more expensive, going at 9.8 runs to the over, this is also because he's bowling some of the toughest overs in the IPL. The added fact that the impact player rule is now around means that Arshdeep is still doing a fairly decent job. And on the international front, he still continues to get all of the chances for T20 cricket in India and continues to pick wickets for the Indian side. But in between 2023 and 2024 is where an exciting couple of events happen. The first is Arshdeep Singh getting picked for a county stint playing for Kent. This happened shortly after the IPL in 2023, and this stint will be very important for him in the rest of his career. Now, in the county season that he has, he gets only 5 games for Kent. However, what he's done here is bowled a lot of overs. The volume of overs he's bowled over this period is 161.2 overs. In that, he's picked up 13 wickets, but if you look at his average and strike rate, they're absolutely horrendous. He goes at an average of 41.7 runs to the wicket, and he has a strike rate in the 70s. And when asked about his experience, there's a couple of things that Arshdeep Singh talks about. The first is that he's bowling so much in T20 cricket and playing so many T20s that his go-to option for a wicket has just become a Yorker. Arshdeep found himself in a situation that where he was not able to get wickets, he was constantly going to just the Yorkers and was not being patient with his work. Along with this, instead of keeping things tight and constantly sticking to a good length, he would find himself going to variations like a slower ball more often than should be, especially in the longer formats. And so what the stint with Kent did was give him back his trust in the good length delivery. This is also evident because in December 2023, right after India had lost the World Cup, Arshdeep Singh was picked for the tour of South Africa. And this was his return to ODI cricket after more than a year. And here, the very first game that he plays in South Africa, he ends up getting a fifer. And that's not all, he ended up as the highest wicket taker in that series and with the best economy rate. In 3 matches, he picks up 10 wickets and he does this at an economy rate of just 3.5. A lot of these wickets were attributed to him bowling a lot more good length deliveries and getting the rewards. And honestly, this was the biggest turnaround for him because up until now, Arshdeep was playing just one format and did not necessarily need to adapt to other formats. Neither was he the kind of bowler who really got smacked out of the park too often for him to go back and have a look at his game and see how he could improve it. And now, because of this added stint in the longer formats, he was just a lot more confident as a bowler, and this was finally reflected in the T20 World Cup of 2024, where we talk about the contributions of a lot of the other players. Someone who is an unsung hero from that World Cup has to be Arshdeep Singh because he was the joint highest wicket taker in that tournament. In 8 matches, he picked up 17 wickets and he did this at an unbelievable economy rate of just 7.1. And since then, he's only gone from strength to strength. If you look at Arshdeep's numbers from the time of his debut, it paints a really interesting picture on the kind of bowler he's been and how reliable he's been at the death in T20s for India. In the 54 innings where he's bowled in the death in T20I cricket, he's picked up 50 wickets, which is the second most international wickets picked up at the death since his debut for any bowler in the world. He's done this at an economy rate of 9.2. And even in the IPL, Arshdeep is one of the names that definitely stands out. Once again, in the death overs, he's the 4th highest wicket taker since his debut. Along with this, in the top 10, he also has the 3rd best economy rate. In 61 innings, he's picked up 49 wickets at an economy rate of 9.7. And this is where we come to present day Arshdeep Singh. This is where a lot of questions are finally starting to find their answers, and this is because of the kind of game that Arshdeep has brought to the fore. While he started off as someone who could just bowl well with the new ball, he's now completely turned around his game as someone who can not only bowl well with the new ball, but also bowl extremely well at the death. Along with Jasprit Bumrah, Arshdeep Singh already forms an incredible pair when it comes to T20I format. He's also now finally starting to get his chances in ODI cricket, and it won't be long before we see him probably going through a successful run in that format as well. The next step for Arshdeep Singh is how he can make it in red ball cricket. Most recently in the England tour was where he was also picked in the squad, although he didn't get to play any games and was eventually sent back. These are the signs where India is starting to see his use in the red ball format. Although he still played a very limited number of games in the red ball format, something to watch out for is when Arshdeep Singh starts getting chances for India A. Because ultimately this is what the final test for him will be if he wants to make a test debut for the Indian team. In the limited county games that he's played, he showed that there's a lot of things that still need working on, and in the Duleep Trophy is where he's slightly shown that he can be a better red ball bowler. At just 26 years of age, Arshdeep is already one of India's most successful left-arm bowlers. If he can make a case for all 3 formats for India and is able to stay injury-free, then we have an Indian left-arm seamer who possibly is fit for the next 6 to 8 years at the very minimum. Arshdeep is also only now coming to terms with a lot lot of other aspects of his game that involve bowling long spells and also being patient and hitting the right areas. Given the love for left arm seamers in our country and also how rare it is to find a good one, Arshdeep Singh is doing all the right things to make sure that he can be one of India's most successful left arm fast bowlers. Whether he gets there is only something that time will tell. But for now, all we can do is sit back and watch his career unfold. This has been our video on Arshdeep Singh and where he currently stands in international cricket. There's a lot that a lot of fans desire from him, and hopefully he can replicate that in due time. If you like this video, definitely drop a like, share it with your friends, and also leave your comments down below on what you think Arshdeep is going to do next. Follow all of our socials, the link is in the description, and we also have memberships, so if you haven't joined us, definitely do that. Link is in the pinned comment. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.